Spring is the season of promise and hope. It's the promise that no matter how cold or dark the winter, there will always be warmth and a time to bloom on the other side. It's the hope that the flowers will turn into delicious fruits and that the seeds sown will grow and eventually be food for the next year. It's a time where the dormant part of nature is reawakened and the glimmers of warmth and sunlight rejuvenate my soul. There's the harvesting of citrus fruit, which by mid-spring is the grapefruits, kumquats and lemons. And while I only have one of each of those particular trees, it takes months to actually harvest all the fruit and preserve it. We haven't been getting much rain, so it's important that I go out and water even at this time of year while it's still cold. I need to water the vegetables and the berry fruits and apple trees, quince, all the things that are going to fruit and give us fruit over the summer. They need the water to fully develop the fruits that I want. The last of the winter vegetables need to be harvested to make space for the summer vegetables to be planted in. While I do live in the country on the edge of a small town, my home is only a sixth of an acre and the buildings take up much of that land. Our spring's been 2 weeks early, so it actually started in winter, which was really nice. However, we're still getting the occasional frost, and we had a frost a couple of days ago that was -2 degrees, which meant all the new growth got killed by the frost. The citrus trees and lily pillies were the main trees affected. Luckily, most of my things were in the glass house. Some seedlings were inside, and I'm bringing these ones out today. I've got the squash, zucchini and pumpkin and some silver beet that hasn't come up yet, but that'll come up outside anyway. So I'm bringing that out to the glass house because I think it needs a bit more sunlight out here, and that's what it will get. I start my seedlings in the kitchen in a window on a heat mat. And when they're big enough, that's when I put them outside. There's tomatoes, poppies, eggplant, tree chilies, squash, zucchini, pumpkin, and the empty ones where the silver beet will come up. Because I have such a small vegetable garden, I end up sowing seeds throughout most of the year. So I'm succession planting, and when a space comes free in the vegetable garden, I prepare the soil once a year. I try not to disturb it too much because I don't want to affect the microorganisms in the soil. And I'm only adding organic matter back into the soil. And while spring did come early with glimmers of hope, as far as the garden was concerned, we're mid-spring and it's back to winter weather and it's cold and glum and miserable. And it's really not inspiring to get out into the garden. It's the latest of the spring that I've planted out some of my vegetable crops, and I've still got so much more to plant out. But it's just not inspiring when it's so cold. The soil's cold, I'm cold, and it's grey and glum. I really need the warmth of the sun to be inspired to be outside in it, at least for gardening. I planted these cucumbers over a month ago and they were doing so well. Not that you can tell now. These were casualties of the frost because we were told it was going to be a 5-degree night and it ended up being -2. So I didn't even cover them because we'd had a few 0 degrees and the garden's fairly protected, so the 0-degree nights were fine, but minus, then that's all bets off. So I've got my containers ready so that when we get the next frost, which we will, even though it's mid-spring, which is late for us, I will cover them up. While I'm eagerly awaiting the warmer weather to warm my bones and give me inspiration to be outside and do the gardening jobs, there are jobs still to be done. I'm visiting my friend Keith, who has alpacas. Now these are the alpacas that give me the fleece that I felt. And while they're currently eating the grass in his paddock and growing their wool for the summer shearing and my next winter's felting projects, they've been busy pooping in the paddock. They poop in one area, so it's a lot easier to collect their manure. They're very well behaved, aren't they? How they poop in one area.
I don't know why they do that.
They're like rabbits. Good manners.
Is this good for everything?
Yeah, that's really good. If you're a regular to my channel, you may have seen my Alpaca Poo video and how I use it on my garden. I love this stuff. And although I do have plenty of duck and chicken poo, the alpaca poo is excellent to go on the vegetable garden. And all I have to do is treat it for 3 weeks. I pop these buckets in my compost bin or in my glass house if there's space and warm them up for 3 weeks. On a small homestead, it can be easy to focus on the land you have to work with. I mean, there's always something to be done there, but it's important to observe the surrounding land too. You can learn a lot, and this is my hunting ground. Hi guys, I'm out on my walk and I'm just tracking some kangaroos. I thought you might like to see some. I have to watch where I'm walking because it's spring and all the snakes come out at this time of year and they blend in with the environment, so I have to really keep an eye out so I don't stand on any poisonous snakes. I don't mind the snakes, but you do have to just be respectful of them. I like to check all the rabbit burrows as I go past them, just to see which ones are being used and which ones aren't. This can come in handy when I'm hunting for rabbits that is, so that I know which ones they may run into and which ones they may not. There are cobwebs in this one, so no one's using it. I hunt on foot, so I like to know a little bit about where they're going to be going. This is such an Australian scene. I had to show you. This old poultry coop was blown at least 100 metres into the hills hoist. You can see this is a track for kangaroos. They follow each other through the bush and they make trails. If it was wet, we would actually see the kangaroo marks of their feet. But the ground is too hard because it's so dry. Up ahead, the runway has a sandy surface. There's some kangaroo tracks. That's their back feet. And it goes all the way to the next jump, which is there. And then off into the bush. There's a mob of kangaroos up there in the bush. You can see them jumping to the right of the screen. There's quite a few different mobs out here. When I'm in the scrub, I'll see one mob jumping one direction and then I'll be walking in further and then another mob will start jumping in the other direction. And there's really quite a lot of kangaroos. I've counted 120 in one go, which is quite a lot. And they are wild, they're not used to people out here. There are the bull ant nests, which if you didn't have gumboots on, you wouldn't want to be walking on because they get a little bit upset when you stand on them. They're pretty quiet, probably because it's still quite cool today, at least at the moment. There's this old wasp's nest. I don't think anyone's home. But you do have to be careful where you're walking, everywhere you walk, at all different heights and all different levels, because there's all sorts of things out here that could actually be a potential threat. This is the entrance to somebody's home. There's no cobwebs in this entrance, so there's definitely someone home. Gum trees are something else you have to watch out for because they can drop their limbs at any time. It doesn't have to be windy, stormy, after rain, it doesn't matter. They can drop limbs on the most beautiful still day. So it's never a good idea to camp underneath them, and we'll just move along. I've seen numerous kangaroos, but they can hear me coming a mile away in these gumboots. So I see them and they see me, and then they bounce away. So I haven't been able to film them for you, at least not close anyway. Okay, you can see them just there. A little baby, or probably a few months old. And a mum. And then there's a hare coming towards me. It's good to see so many bees out here in the bush. There's always one kangaroo that's on the lookout and just keeps an eye on the predator, which in this case is me. And then the others bounce away, and then it follows. I love being in nature. The bugs, the birds, the plants, just all the wildlife. You just never know what you're going to see out here, and I absolutely love it. There's a serenity out here that you just can't get from anywhere else. I just love being in nature. When there's clouds, there's just so many beautiful things about being with nature. And it changes day to day. It's always different. So you never know what you're going to find. Back at the cottage, Nikki's visiting from university.
Cheers. Cheers. Grapefruit's nice, is it?
Homegrown.
I don't even like grapefruit.
It's good grapefruit. So I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.